And we're glad you're joining us for Public Affairs on Peach. I'm CBS 46 political reporter Giovanna Derpick. You can't talk about the District 6 runoff without, of course, talking about the ads. They've been all over TV and social media. And now we have Patrick Scullin, Creative Director of ASO Advertising, joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. All right, Patrick, so these ads, first before we show you a snippet of some of them, let's talk about the tone and the creativity. What do you think about that?
Overall, I think it's good. They're trying all sorts of tactics, everything from hopeful, heart-rendering, emotional, right down to get in the mud and smear it on your opponent. So it's a little bit of everything. I think they're really shooting for a broad spectrum, but it's no surprise with the amount of money that's being spent. This is the most expensive House campaign in the history of the United States.
So they should be able to come up with some great ads.
Right, and to date they've spent $36 million for a seat that pays $174,000 a year.
Okay, well, given that background, let's take a look at one of those ads.
Hi, Georgia. San Francisco just wanted to say thank you.
We already have Nancy Pelosi as our congresswoman. Now you're going to give us Jon Ossoff as our congressman.
We're proud that California is the leading funder of the Jon Ossoff campaign.
All right, no subtlety there. The Republicans are trying to tie Jon Ossoff to California liberals. Do you think that ad is effective?
I think so. If you're predisposed against all of the things that are on the progressive agenda, I think it reinforces it. Conversely, I think if you're independent or lean progressively on some of them, it might not be effective. But I'll give him points. It's a creative way of tying him to a Democratic agenda.
Now, could it backfire?
I think it could. I think it could, and I think it could in the context of it has become such a polarized political environment. The last I read, in this district, Donald Trump has a 51% disapproval. So if this does indeed turn out to be a referendum on the president and the Republican leadership, it could backfire.
Okay, let's take a look at a couple more ads.
I'm Jon Ossoff, and I approve this message.
My name is Mindy Fine, and I'm an OBGYN in Cobb County. Part of a normal exam is screening for breast and cervical cancer. When we catch it early, we save lives. But Karen Handel cut off funding for Planned Parenthood cancer screenings when she was an executive at Susan G. Komen. I don't usually get involved in politics, but as a doctor and a breast cancer survivor myself, what Karen Handel did is unforgivable.
I'm Ann. I'm currently fighting cancer. When I see ads attacking Karen Handel, they make me sick. Karen is one of the strongest advocates for women's health I know. She stands up for us and she stands by us when we need her most. I know because she's one of my best friends. Ignore the attacks. Let's elect a woman we can count on.
I'm Karen Handel, and I approve this message.
Okay, a lot of families very concerned about health care. You just saw an ad on both sides. What did you think about them?
I thought they were both powerful in their own respect. Ossoff's is certainly about support of Planned Parenthood. So if you are against that, you know, there's nothing he could say or do. Painting him as an advocate for Planned Parenthood is going to be negative against him. Conversely, Karen Handel, it was smart to have a friend speak to the exact same subject, but there is that personal relationship. It still is about Planned Parenthood, though. You're either for it or against it. And again, that's pretty much down party lines. But the female vote is going to be very important for both candidates.
Okay, so they were humanizing the ads. You're the expert on this. Is it more effective to go with the attack ads or to lay out a plan of what you're actually going to do in these ads?
Well, historically, it seems to be the negative ads, because that is generally the tone of most political ads, are more effective. But I think at a certain point, as we learned with the last presidential election, you can't just run a campaign by saying you're not that person and doing nothing but the negativity. So at some point you do have to say what you stand for. And going back to what I said earlier, they are trying everything in this campaign. You see all different flavors of the advertising, and I think that's because of there is so much money.
The influence of money.
So much.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And stick around. We'll tell you what to watch for election night as we wrap up this edition of Public Affairs on Peach.